strike gold and have a really good running back for a few years. And they're like time bombs too. Once their time is up, they're done. They can be really good for 3 years. They can be really good for 8 years. But once they get close to that 30 mark, that year 30, they are running out of gas. But let's get into it. We'll start at number 10. And starting off at number 10, I have Oakland Raiders helmet here. We got Josh Jacobs. I got Josh Jacobs at number 10 already. Could be a reach. This is tier number 3. Now, in the top 10, tier number 3 only has 2 people. The top 2 tiers, I have 4 in each of them. So this is part of tier 3. So there's a bunch of running backs that we're going to hear in the list that are 11 and below that could easily be ahead of Josh Jacobs and possibly be in this top 10 list. But for this case scenario, I'm all in on Josh Jacobs. This past season, he was really good. He was most of the Raiders' offense. He and Darren Waller basically carried. Derek Carr didn't have much to throw to, but like I said, I'm taking Josh Jacobs here for these running backs, for these picks. It's going to be like the quarterbacks. It's going to be similar to the quarterbacks. It's who do I want on my team more than some other people, basically. Who's going to change the game, and that's going to take injuries into account for sure, because that's really important for the injury position. But starting off at number 10 is Josh Jacobs. And at number 9, another young gun rookie. Well, he's no longer a rookie, but Jonathan Taylor, JT, baby. JT, he's just a solid running back. Like I said, this is still part of tier 3. He is the top of the list for tier 3. Maybe this is a reach. Maybe I'm getting ahead of myself. Who knows? But Jonathan Taylor was at a really good year for the Colts. They have a good offensive line, so that certainly helped out there in Indianapolis. But he's a solid running back. I mean, are we surprised? Seriously. I mean, look at all the running backs that come out of Wisconsin. Alright, not all of them pan out, but a lot of them do, alright. But Jonathan Taylor looked really good this year. He's just a good runner. It was no doubt that he was going to do well at the NFL level. At this point, it's just how long can he keep it up? Number 8. Any other year, I might have put this one a little bit higher. But right now, he's going to sit at number 8, and he is at the bottom of my tier 2 list. Ezekiel Elliott. Zeke. He had a rough year last year. He really did. He didn't have his quarterback for most of the season. He had a fumbling problem. He was just not the normal back that he is. And it'll be interesting to see because his first few years in the league, the Cowboys had a really good line. Ever since then, that line has started to deteriorate. They are not quite as good as they used to be. So it'll be interesting to see over the next few years what Zeke Elliott is able to do. He's still a really good running back. I'm definitely taking him at number 8. He had a down year, but I expect him to bounce back, hopefully. In the number 7 spot, I have recently bag getter paid man. I don't know. He got paid this offseason. He got paid. We got Aaron Jones, baby. Aaron Jones is just really good running back. Yeah, that's about it. It was one of those situations where the Packers, he was a free agent. They were like, I mean, this guy's good. We have to keep him, and I think they made the right choice. You can't let Aaron Jones walk, especially with the team that they have. They have A.J. Dillon. He had a good rookie year to back him up, but Aaron Jones, man, Aaron Jones is just really good. It's just, I don't know. It's hard to explain running backs, I guess, in my head here. But yeah, Aaron Jones, just a solid back. They got a 3-headed monster at Green Bay with him, Rodgers, and Adams. Absolutely nuts. And at number 6, we have Nick Chubb for the Browns, baby. This one, it's interesting because maybe 6, maybe this is too high. Maybe you don't even have him in tier 2. But this guy had a really good year this year. He really did. He had a really good year, and he did all of it with Kareem Hunt in the same backfield. The Browns have the best run game in football. It's kind of wild to say that, but they really do. Nick Chubb take all the snaps of a possession, maybe 2 possessions in a row, and then Kareem would just take the third possession and just take all the snaps on that one. Sometimes he got more possessions at the end of games and stuff, so there was a lot of time that Chubb just missed out on carries because they were giving them to Hunt, and Hunt was making plays as well. So, but Chubb is a really good running back. It pains me that he went after Sony Michel, which is who the Pats got, and Michel's been alright. He's shown flashes, but he hasn't been Nick Chubb, that's for sure. At number 5, and at the top of tier 2, Alvin Kamara. Another really good running back. Another running back that had to get paid, unfortunately. But the Saints are in cap hell now. But Kamara, once again, he's just another really good back. He's just... It's what happens when we're not in football season. Kamara, he's a good runner. He can catch balls out of the backfield. He's just a solid running back. There's just nothing else to say, man. The guy came out of nowhere. He really did. Now he's one of those guys that was basically a top recruit, and I forget what happened with him, but his rating dropped. He didn't look like he was going to be as good, and gets himself into the NFL and ends up being a freak. So, great story there. Obviously, who doesn't love a great story? And we are into tier number 1. At number 4 on our ranking list, he missed most of last season. Saquon Barkley, man, he's a generational talent. He's a freak athlete. He's going to be a great running back for these next few years. The sad thing is, he'll probably get wasted on the Giants. Maybe he'll end up on another team eventually, but Saquon Barkley is a generational talent. Maybe last year he might have been the top back in the league. Who knows? That's one of these years he's going to be the best guy out there for sure. But it's amazing that I actually feel comfortable keeping him at number 4 after missing a whole season due to injury. But Saquon Barkley, he's an absolute freak. Let's get into the top 3. I'm curious to see what you guys have for your top 3, because, man, these guys, they're pretty interchangeable. But at number 3, I'm taking Dalvin Cook, man. Dalvin Cook was the Vikings offense this year. Alright, no disrespect to Kirk Cousins or Justin Jefferson or Adam Thielen, but dude, when Dalvin Cook played, when he wasn't hurt, man, that guy won them games, and that doesn't happen super often with running backs. But Dalvin Cook, he's just a freak of a runner. Florida State guy. It's good to see him, being able to finish the season out. He had some injury problems early on, but he's a solid running back, and I'm taking him number 3. One of these years, might even be saying I'm taking him number 1. Now this pick might be interesting to you, it might not be, you might agree, but I have him at number 2, not number 1. If it was last year, I'd probably put him at number 1, but at number 2, we have Christian McCaffrey. McCaffrey, once again, missed the whole year due to injuries, but he's just one of those backs that does it all, man. He's involved in the run game, he's a pass catcher out of the backfield, he does it all, and when he plays, man, he's the Panthers offense. He is their whole offense. It's pretty interesting, though. He missed most of the season, and Mike Davis had a really good year, but he's no Christian McCaffrey, that's for sure. McCaffrey, just another guy like Barkley. He's just a freak athlete. He's just an absolute beast, and I'm hoping it's crazy. 2 of my top 4 guys missed most of last season due to injuries, but they didn't fall out of the top 4. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe if they played this year, they would have fallen out. But McCaffrey, he's just a freak, man. He's a freak. And hopefully you can guess who number 1 is, because you either had him in your top 3 or you have him at number 1 as well. And that's Derrick Henry, man. Derrick Henry is an absolute monster. He is a monster of a running back, man. Him and A.J. Brown are freaks. But Derrick Henry is the Titans' offense. Derrick Henry allows Tannehill to just be a game manager, which is perfect for Tannehill. That's what he's got to be. And it's just perfect. They run their offense through Derrick Henry, and then they let Tannehill make the simple plays, just make some throws. But it's great because when the Titans get a lead, and it's the fourth quarter and the defense is worn out, they just run Derrick Henry at him. And man, he is a tough runner. It's just, I couldn't even imagine trying to tackle that dude. I would bounce off. We would all just bounce off of him. He would just launch us 10 yards, dude. He's an absolute giant, and he's fast as hell. It's so wild, man. It's so wild. He's my number one. I had to put him number one. He's just so good. You might add McCaffrey at one. I completely get that, but Derrick Henry is my number one for this. Alrighty, let's continue now. Back at number 11. This is still tier number 3. So honestly, all these guys up next, they could be argued as a top 10 guy for sure. I definitely could understand that argument, but JT and Josh Jacobs got the nod from me. So this guy starts us off at number 11. We got CEH, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. He was really good this year. Got injured at the end of the year, but ended up being fine. He was just a really good rookie running back. He's a good runner. He's a small guy, but he runs with power, and he's pretty quick. Can catch the ball pretty well, too. But he's our number 11. At number 12, we have Joe Mixon. He got a big payday recently. But Joe Mixon, he's good. Him and Joe Burrow hopefully can get something going there in Cincinnati the next few years. Joe Mixon out of Oklahoma. If you remember, he had a little bit of a controversy in college, but he ended up coming to the league, being a really solid back. Right behind him is Austin Eckler at number 13. Eckler battled some injuries this year, but he's another really good running back. It's crazy. Melvin Gordon was trying to hold out and get money, and the Chargers were like, nah, we're not going to pay you. They put Eckler out there. Eckler ends up being a freak running back. Pretty wild. 14, I have Chris Carson. Chris Carson, I think he's pretty underrated. He's a really solid running back. I thought he was going to have a down year last year, but then he was good, pretty good once again. So it's like, alright, well, I guess this guy definitely is solid. Because, I mean, they got Penny. Rashad Penny was supposed to be the guy. They drafted him higher. Penny barely gets carries, and Carson's been the main guy for a few years now. He's just a really solid running back. Then I got Antonio Gibson for the Washington football team. Another guy, didn't really expect to have a good year, but he did. He had a good fantasy football year, for sure. He's another solid running back. Right behind him, I have Miles Sanders from the same division. Penn State boy. He's just another solid running back. Really good runner. It's crazy. Penn State, they had Barkley, then they went right to Miles Sanders. It's a step back, but Sanders, really good player, and he's good for the Eagles, for sure. Right up after that, we have another kind of a fantasy stud this year. He came out of nowhere, James Robinson. Really good running back, undrafted running back, and he had a really good year. It's just, once again, it's just proof that you don't need to pay the big-time running backs. You might be able to find a gem in the rough in a guy like James Robinson. Then I got Ronald Jones the third here. Honestly, he might be higher if Fournette didn't take his carries, but no, Ronald Jones, really good player, still on his rookie deal. He's a really young running back. Guy's gonna be good for years to come. And another young gun, he was a rookie this year. DeAndre Swift is gonna finish off tier number 3 for us. So, solid group of backs. Then we're gonna get into our tier number 4. Alright, most of these guys on this list now, this is lower, pretty lower. This is getting up into the 20s in the rankings, but most of these guys are either young running backs who might have a pretty good future, or they were good running backs in the past, and we're not really sure where they're at this point. Maybe they'll bounce back to what they were, or maybe they won't. But starting it off, I have J.K. Dobbins for the Ravens. We got Cam Akers. These are all guys that showed some great flashes. Could definitely be killers in the future. Then there's James White, who's been a solid back. He kind of had a down year just because we weren't throwing the ball, and he's a pass catching back for sure. So I expect him to have a better season than he did last year for sure. And then we have Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt, the only reason he's not at least in tier 3 is because he's a backup where he is. He doesn't even get split carries. He's pretty much behind Chubb, but he still gets a ton of carries. But then we have Melvin Gordon. He's on the Broncos right now. The guy held out for a deal, and rightfully so. He was really good. He was really good for the Chargers, but they ended up not paying him. They used Eckler. Gordon's moving to the Broncos. He's there now for a few years. Was he there for? He's been 2 years now, right? I believe. Or was it 1? Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, Melvin Gordon. He's a solid running back. I expect to see him bounce back eventually. Then there's Raheem Mostert. As he's had some injury problems last year, but he's another solid running back that the 49ers got. Then there's Kenyon Drake, who is now on the Raiders. He's going to be backing up Josh Jacobs. It's disappointing. The Dolphins had him. He was pretty good, but they didn't really use him right. Trade him to the Cardinals. He shows out. He just looks really good. For the Cardinals, they make him the main back, and then he had like a decent year, and they ended up not keeping him. And it looks like Chris Edmonds is going to be the guy there. But up next, there's Todd Gurley. He was a freak, but damn, arthritis of the knee or whatever. He's got so many problems, man. I feel bad for that guy. His career, he may never be the same. Then there's David Montgomery, another good young running back. James Conner, he had a down year, but still good young running back. Leonard Fournette, he didn't get as many carries or play as much for the Buccaneers, but he's there again. He's trying to get some rings. So yeah, playoff Lenny. And then there's Phillip Lindsay. Once again, he's another Broncos guy, undrafted guy. He just had a really good season out of nowhere. But we'll see how he does this year. Devin Singletary, Bills running back. Okay, I regret this one. Flip this one. And Le'Veon Bell. Le'Veon Bell is next, but Le'Veon Bell should be ahead of him. I changed my mind. Devin Singletary is just a young back. He didn't show. He's not that great. He's got a lot of potential, though, in my opinion. But yeah, then there's Le'Veon Bell. And then all the way down here is David Johnson. Man, that guy fell off. It's like I said, running backs, man, they can have really quick life. They can be like David Johnson and be top of the league. And then all of a sudden you have scrub ASM artists that are rating you in tier 4 in the bottom of the barrel of the running backs. But right after him is Myles Gaskin, the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins need another running back. They got to do something with that position.